Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 3. Now let's start the fanfic. Naruto, Hinata, and Shino were in total awe at the sight in front of them. The classroom was literally swimming with genin. They all came representing many areas, including Village Mist Hidden, Hidden Leaf Village and Village Sand Hidden. All of them seemed to look up as the three kids walked in, only to look back down in disappointment, as if they were expecting someone else. Naruto couldn't help but whistle at the sight. There's sure are a lot of them, Hinata said. Just more for us to beat in the ground. Naruto yelled as he gave her a thumb up. Naruto, don't draw attention to us, the best thing to do now is lay low and blend in. Shino said. Really? Idiot. An unfortunately familiar voice called. Team 8 turned around just in time to see Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji walk up to them. Shikamaru looked completely bored with the desire to be somewhere, anywhere else. Choji was munching on a bag of chips as always. Ino was disappointed to see that the team who walked in wasn't the one that had Sasuke in it. What the hell are you doing here anyways, Naruto? There's no way a idiot like you could handle a test like this. Ino said. If you all can be here, so can we. I mean, what was your major skill, Yamanaka? Stalking Sasuke? Naruto asked. No sooner had Naruto mentioned Sasuke's name, did his team walk in the door. Ino immediately pushed Naruto out of the way, and tackled the Uchiha, hugging him around the neck tightly. It was then that Naruto and the others noticed the bruises on him. Naruto smiled, as it was obvious that someone just beat him. Sasuke, what happened to you? Ino asked. Hands off Ino pig, Sakura said as she shoved Ino off of Sasuke. Why would Sasuke want someone with a mutant forehead to touch him when he can have someone like me? Ino asked. What did you say, pig? Sakura asked back. Troublesome, Shikamaru said. Well, it looks like all three of this year's rookie teams decided to apply for the exams. Kiba said. I wonder how far we'll get. What do you think, Sasuke? And by the way, what the hell happened to you? Naruto asked. Some freak in green spandex and bushy eyebrows challenged him to a fight, one that he got his butt completely beat in. Kiba said while trying to fight back a laugh. Kiba was quickly whacked on the back of the head by Ino and Sakura. Naruto smiled while cheering on Lee in his mind. Sasuke just got blindsided, that's all. Besides, at least he wasn't taken down in one hit. Sakura yelled. One hit? Damn, Kiba. You think that your team is ready for the exams when both of its strongest members got taken down by one guy? Naruto asked. Excuse me. A voice said. All 9 kids turned around and saw a Konoha genin walk towards them. He was wearing a pair of glasses, with a gray shirt and a gray pair of pants. He also wore gray fingerless gloves and shinobi sandals. He ran a hand through his silver hair as he smiled at them. Guess who? You guys are all rookie genin, right? Kids fresh out of the academy. Genin asked. Maybe. What's it to you? Kiba asked. I take that as a yes. Take it from someone who has taken this test a few times. Stop drawing attention to yourselves so much, especially if you want to live. Genin said. Sure enough, when the rookie 9 gazed about the room, a majority of the other genin there were glaring right at them. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, just trying to give you some friendly advice. Most of the people in this room are waiting to take the first exam, and are kind of on edge. Just thought I'd give you a heads up before someone snaps and kills you guys. Genin said. Who are you anyways? Sasuke asked. My name is Kabuto Yakushi. Kabuto said. Kabuto, you said you've taken this test a few times. Like, how many times? Choji asked. This will be my 7th. I've taken it twice a year for going on 4 years now. Kabuto said. And you still haven't passed. What do you that bad or something? Kiba asked, only to get hit in the back of the head by Sakura again. I apologize for my friend. He doesn't get enough oxygen to his brain. What he meant to ask was, is the test that hard? Sakura asked. Well, there's no walk in the park, if that's what you mean. Believe it or not, there are probably people who have tried more than I have and still haven't become Chunin. Kabuto said. Well, I guess you got some experience on what to expect during this, huh? Naruto asked. That's true. Tell you what, I like you kids, so I'll give you some vital advice with these shinobi skill cards. Kabuto said with a smile. Shinobi skill cards? What are you talking about? Sasuke asked. Basically, they're cards that I pump chakra into, which then display information depending on what it is I want to see. Take this one for example. Kabuto said. Kabuto pulled out a blank card and made several hand signs. He then put his palm down on the back of the card, and then flipped it over to reveal a map on the front with various numbers. What kind of card is this? It's a combo of a map and graph in one, Choji said. This particular card shows how many genin are partaking in the Chunin exams, and how many are from each nation. Kabuto said. Kabuto, can your cards show on each individual applicant? Sasuke asked. Oh, do you have interest in a certain applicant? While it is far from complete, I do have cards that pertain at least some basic information on the genin from this year's set of applicants. Just give some data you have on the people you wish to know about, and I'll look up what I have in the cards. Kabuto said. Rock Lee and Naruto Mitarashi from Konoha. Sasuke said. You know their names and villages. That makes it too easy. Kabuto said. What? Why do you want information on the loser? Ino asked. I got to admit, I'm curious too, Sasuke. I always thought with the way you blow off fangirls, that you'd want to get to know guys better over dinner and movie. Naruto said with a grin. Shut up, Sasuke said. All right now, kiddies, Kabuto said as he drew 2 cards and put some chakra into them. Calm down, and I'll let you know what I have, Kabuto said. Kabuto picked up the first card and flipped it around. First up is Rock Lee. He is 1 year older than all of you. He serves on Squad 9, alongside of his teammates Neji Hyuga and Tenten. His Jonin instructor is Might Guy. He has completed 26 D ranked missions and 13 C ranked. His taijutsu skills are amazing, and have improved drastically over this past year, however he had no other skills worth mentioning. He was a standout among last year's rookies, however he didn't apply for the Chunin exams until this year, meaning he's a first-timer like the rest of you. Kabuto said. Kabuto put the card back into the deck and then looked at the other one. Next up is Naruto Mitarashi. He serves on Squad 8 with Hinata Hyuga and Shino Aburame. His Jonin instructor is Kurenai Yuhi. He has completed 14 D ranked missions, and 1 A ranked mission. Very unusual for a first-year genin, mind you. He was the bottom of the class when he graduated from the academy, however he does have a few higher-level jutsu to his disposal, and those who have witnessed his skills close up have reported that he has the potential to rival the Rookie of the Year, Sasuke Uchiha, Kabuto said. Aw shucks, you flatter me. Naruto said with a blush. Everyone seemed to sweat drop at this, and Kabuto cleared his throat to continue. This year, there are applications Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Sand Village, Hidden Mist Village, Hidden Rain Village, Hidden Grass Village, Hidden Waterfall Village, and Hidden Sound Village. The villages sent a lot of outstanding genin this year to participate. I don't know about Hidden Sound Village that much since it's relatively new, however the other villages are all well respected, and home to some truly skilled shinobi. Kabuto said. Does anyone else besides me suddenly feel outclassed? Choji asked. Just as I thought. Naruto has been holding back, At least a little. There's no way he's stronger than me, but still he is someone to watch out for. Sasuke thought. So, are you saying that? Sakura asked. Yeah, most of them are like Lee and Naruto. Either they are incredibly strong, or they've been hiding their true potential, and have been waiting to unleash it here. Kabuto said. Everyone other than Hinata and Shino paused and glanced back at Naruto. What? Is there something on my face? Naruto asked. Everyone sighed at the same time. Naruto couldn't help but get a kick out of this. Kurenai had been standing outside of the door the whole time, listened as the rookies talked to Kabuto, smiling at Naruto's quick shots to some of the others. She walked away giggling, deciding to see if Kakashi and the others were somewhere in the building. Meanwhile, while back in the room, 3 genin from Hidden Sound Village were watching the Leaf Genin talk. The first of which was a girl who had long, black hair. She wore a yellow sleeveless shirt, gray camouflage pants and a scarf, and black shinobi sandals and armbands. Next was a strange-looking man. He had most of his face wrapped completely in bandages, except for his eyes. He wore a long gray jacket that had sleeves, which covered his arms. He had a large, fuzzy object on his back, and was constantly hunched over. The final member had spiky black hair. He wore a gray camouflage scarf and pants like the girls, and a yellow shirt with the kanji for death written on it. Shall we? The spiky-haired boy asked. Let's go. The bandaged one said. The 3 sound genin suddenly dashed forward and launched an attack at Kabuto. The one with spiky hair attacked high, throwing some kunai. Kabuto barely managed to jump out of the way, coming face to face with the Sound Village genin with bandages on his face. He dashed forward with his arm extended and took a swing at Kabuto that he managed to duck back to avoid. However, when he returned upright, his glasses suddenly shattered. He managed to dodge that. How did his glasses break? Choji asked, dropping his chip bag on the ground. He probably got grazed in the nose, Shino said. Serves him right for acting all superior, Shikamaru said. Kabuto looked at his glasses, and then suddenly dropped them to the floor. He fell to his knees, shaking violently, and then he began to vomit. Hinata cringed at the sight, and the others stared on in with widened eyes. Even Shino was slightly freaked out by the attack. Naruto and Ino walked forward and helped Kabuto to his feet. You alright? Naruto asked as he and Ino helped Kabuto up. Yeah, I'm fine, Kabuto said. What the hell is wrong with you 3? Naruto asked as he looked up at the 3 sound genin. Just checking out some of the competition. You know, you're pretty sad for someone who's taken this test for 4 years now, the female of the group said. Tell me about it. If this is the competition this year, then you better add this to your cards. All 3 of us genin from Hidden Sound Village are going to make Chunin this year, the spiky-haired genin said. Kabuto dodged that attack clearly, so what the hell happened to him? Why did he vomit? Sasuke thought. Lee, Tenten, what did that look like to you? Neji asked as he watched the event unfold from a distance. That Kabuto guy definitely dodged the attack. Tenten said. So there has to be some trick to it. Something in the attack that made him vomit like that. Lee said. Suddenly, a large cloud of smoke erupted in the front of the room. As it cleared, a large man appeared in front of a group of Chunin. He was wearing a larger version of Naruto's trench coat, a pair of black gloves and black boots. He wore a gray button-up shirt, gray slacks, and a headband combined with a bandana tied on his head. His most standout feature were the large scars on his face. Everyone shut up. Now. You 3 from Sound. Chill out or you'll be on your butts outside of this building faster than you can blink, got me? The large man asked. My apologies. It's our first exam, and we just got a little carried away, the bandaged member of the squad said. Is that so? In that case, let me set a ground rule or two for you and any other hotshots thinking they can just do whatever the hell they feel like. From now on, all forms of fighting are forbidden, unless the examining officer says otherwise. Even then, anything that directly threatens the life of another applicant's life is still strictly forbidden. Anyone who breaks this rule is out of here. Any questions? The large man asked. No one said anything, which he assumed allowed him the right to move on. All right then, we'll now begin the first examination. Everyone line up here at the desk and turn in your application. We'll then give you one of these seating assignment cards, the large man said. The large man paused as he held up a small plastic square with a number on it. Report to the seat that the card indicates. When everyone is seated, we will hand out the written tests. The large man said. A written test? Naruto thought. The genin all lined up and turned in their applications. After obtaining their numbers, they went to their assigned seats. Naruto ended up being close to the middle. Shino was closer to the front. Hinata was stuck in the back of the room. He sighed as he was hoping that he could at least be close by to one of them. Naruto wasn't hiding his ability to be bad at written tests. When it came to them, he always just for some reason blanked out, choked, and failed the test. He sighed as he sat down in his chair, watching as the tests were passed out. He was suddenly snapped out of thought as he heard someone sit down beside him. He looked up and realized it was the blonde ninja girl from Hidden Sand Village that he met the other day. Naruto-kun, Tenten asked as she sat down. Hi Tenten, Naruto said. Hey, Blondie, shut up already. I'm going to go over the rules to the first test, and I refuse to repeat myself. These rules are very important, so pay attention because I'm not going to answer any questions. Ibiki said. If you must know, the large man's name is Ibiki Morino. Rules. It's a written test. What kind of rules do we need to hear for that? Sakura thought. Do not turn your papers until I say so. Now let's start. Rule number 1. Each of you starts with 10 points. There are a total of 10 questions on the test, each one worth a point each. For every question you get wrong, you will lose one of these points. Next is rule number 2. The written test is still a team event. So in light of this, not only do your scores count, but those of your teammates do too. In other words, all 3 members of your team's points will be linked into one final score. Now, the final rule. If during the exam one of you candidates do anything out of the ordinary, or in other words, leads a proctor into thinking that you're cheating and you get caught, it will cost 2 points from each member on the cheater's team. Ibiki said. I get it, Sakura whispered. Bingo, Pinky. There is a good chance that during the exam, most of you will run through the total allotted points. In the event that that occurs, you will be forced to leave. Also, since no team can pass this exam without all 3 members, when one of you leave, the whole team goes. Ibiki said. There were various murmurs among the crowd as they looked at their tests before them and the chunin that were scattered about the room. Naruto took a deep breath and felt a shiver run up his spine. He looked up and saw Shino looking over at him from across the room before looking down at his paper. Not good. Despite how his skills are in the field, Naruto never did well on tests. Hopefully there'll be one question he can answer on the test, the bug ninja thought. You all have 1 hour. You may begin, Ibiki said. All right, Naruto, calm down, it's just a test. If you can handle a life-threatening, incredibly dangerous A-rank mission, then this should be nothing, Naruto thought to himself. Naruto paused and his widened in surprise as he read the first question. What the hell is this? No basic genin in this room should be capable of answering his question, or the second, or even the third. Naruto thought. I get it. There is no way we should be able to answer these questions. Well, most of us anyways, Shino thought. Shino looked ahead of himself and saw Sakura's pencil moving down the paper at a rapid rate. Those of us who can't answer the questions on our own have to manage to cheat and collect the answers without getting caught. Shino thought. Shino looked up from the test and noticed Akamaru sitting on the head of his neighboring tester, Kiba, looking around the room and barking quietly. He snickered as he wrote down the answer to one of the questions. All right then, let's go find some answers. Shino thought. 3 small bugs crawled out of the sleeves of his jacket and crawled up to his index fingers. You know what to do, Shino whispered to them, before they took off into the air. Shino's using his bugs, Kiba is using Akamaru, Hinata thought. Hinata looked a few seats down and noticed Sasuke's eyes turning Sharingan red. Sasuke is using his Sharingan. Looks like you pretty much have to cheat to get the answers, Hinata thought. Hinata activated her Byakugan and looked around the room. This is good, I can see everyone's test around me. I hope Naruto can think of something though, Hinata thought. If I don't manage to get at least one answer, Hinata and Shino are going to kill me, Naruto thought. Naruto paused in his thoughts and looked up around the room. His eyes widened as a bug passed his face. That was one of Shino's bugs, Naruto thought. Naruto was suddenly caught off guard when a Chunin's voice rang out into the room. You. Number 27. Chunin called. Naruto looked to his side to see a Miss Genin looking at the Chunin who called his number. You're out of here, get your stuff and leave. Numbers 26 and 28, you're gone with him. Chunin said. The 3 missed shinobi left the room. Naruto turned back to his test and stared down at it intently. Ibiki sat there glaring at the boy, trying to think of where he had seen him before. He couldn't place his finger on it, but he had this feeling that he reminded him of someone. He shook the thought out of his head, grabbed a seat from behind the teacher's desk in his room. There were still 30 minutes to take the exam in, so he might as well get comfy. Meanwhile, other students continued to attempt to take the test, or use their innate talents to cheat. Shikamaru was using his naturally high IQ to answer the test normally. Ino waited until Sakura finished all of her questions, and then used her family's trademark jutsu to take over her body and get all the answers. Afterwards, she returned to her body. She put the answers down on her paper, smirking in satisfaction. Choji didn't have any natural talents to aid him in getting answers, but he did have a best friend in Shikamaru on his team. The said lazy genin used his shadow jutsus to control the chubby ninja's body and write down the answers. Tenten managed to use kunai, a mirror, and chakra strings to get answers for her test, and help Lee get answers for his test. Konkuro had a puppet disguised as an examiner to look for answers. The team from Sound was listening for the movements of the pencils against the paper to get the answers, and Gaara manipulated some sand into his hand and it began forming something. Soon it took the shape of an eyeball, which Gaara could see out of. He crushed the eye of sand and sent it towards a genin near him. He used some of the sand to blind the boy before reforming the eye near the test and looked at the answers. He then moved his sand over to his sister's desk and was able to write the answers with sand for her to copy onto her paper. Numbers 44, 75, 98. You're out of here, get your teammates and go, a Chunin said. Number 11 and 62 beat it, you're done, another one called. Got to think of something, Naruto said in whispered. Naruto. Tenten whispered. Naruto looked up from his test and over towards the bun-haired girl. If you want, you can copy some of the answers off of my test, Tenten said. Tenten, Naruto asked. I mean, this is a big thing, you know. I'm your friend, so I want to help you out. I don't want you to have to leave so early. I mean, this is the first time taking the exam for you, Lee, Hinata, and me, You know, the old gang. We need to try to see this through as long as we can. Tenten said. Okay, Naruto said. Here, look at my test, Tenten said. Naruto began to look down, but then his eyes caught those of a Chunin glaring right at him. He sighed in defeat and looked back at Tenten. I can't do it, Tenten. Naruto said. Tenten looked surprised at him, and slightly angry, but Naruto went on. If I get caught, we'll both lose points. If that happens, then in the end both our teams will be out. Don't worry about me, I'll find a way to get the treacherous snakes taken care of, you just go on. Naruto said. Tenten nodded and went back to her test, but Naruto sighed again in defeat and began to think once more. A good speech, but now all I've got is honor and a blank test. Wait a minute, what did I say earlier? Snakes. Naruto thought. He couldn't believe how dumb he had been. He made several hand signs and focuses as little chakra as possible, sending 3 tiny gardener snakes out of his sleeves. He had to thank his mom later for teaching him this jutsu and how to talk to snakes, but that was later. He simply nodded to the 3 snakes, and they slithered off around the room. Several moments later, they would return to Naruto and quietly hiss out the answers, before crawling up his sleeve and vanishing from existence. While this was going on, several more teams were dismissed from the room, until finally Ibiki looked around at the remaining students, Naruto in particular. He smiled as he saw one of the snakes crawl up into his sleeves. I thought he looked familiar. Anko's kid is taking the test this year too, things will definitely get interesting soon. Ibiki thought. What's this? Naruto whispered as he reached the final question. Wait until the test time is over. At this point, the proctor will give out the final question, which you must then answer. Naruto asked as he read the final question. Naruto paused as he looked up at the clock. Only about 3 minutes. Until then, guess I'll just chill and wait. Naruto said. Outside of the academy, on top of the roof, Kakashi, Kurenai, and Asuma were all relaxing, enjoying the time off they had during the Chunin exams. Much as they were growing attached to the balls of energy known as their students, they welcomed the off time with open arms. Kakashi leaned against the fence, reading his usual orange book. Asuma was gazing at the clouds while having a smoke, and Kurenai was having a light lunch of some dango that Anko brought by before running off to get ready for something. The Genjutsu mistress wasn't exactly sure what her former teammate was planning, but she felt it was the best if it remained as such. The quiet was slightly relaxing, but all good things come to an end, especially when a whirl of leaves appear in the center of the roof, revealing the one person you really don't want to see. Hey everybody! Life treating you good? Mighty Guy yelled as he appeared. Guy, don't you think you could tone it down a little bit? Asuma asked as he gazed over at the man before looking away. Asuma, you disappoint me. Your flames of youth are being extinguished much too early for your age. Guy yelled. So, what did you come to talk about, Guy? Kurenai asked. I was just wanting to discuss how you think our teams are faring in the first exam. Surely mine is using their youthful energy to pass with flying colors, unlike my rivals. Guy yelled. I'm sorry, did you say something, Guy? Kakashi asked, barely looking up from his book. Curse you and your coolness, Kakashi. Don't you realize who is giving the first exam this year? Guy asked. I believe it was Ibiki Morino, wasn't it? Kakashi asked. Yes, that sadist is in charge of it this year, Guy said. The same one. He probably got some elaborate plan to use to weed as many genin out as possible at the end. After all, it wouldn't be the first time he's done something like that, Asuma said. The question is whether or not our teams are able to hold their own when that moment comes. However, I think they have a good chance, or at least mine do. Kakashi said. Ibiki stood up and walked to the front of the room. The number of students had been drastically reduced from there once was, but in his mind, that was still not enough. He cleared his throat, causing everyone to tense up for a moment. They pretty much figured he was going to give them the last question, so immediately every pencil went down to the final question on the test. What happened instead though? Threw them for a loop. It's time for the final question. However, before I give it out, there is one final, absolute rule that must be announced first. Ibiki said. An absolute rule. Now what the hell is going on? Naruto thought. First, you must choose whether or not you accept this question. Ibiki said. Choose? You mean this question is optional? Tamari asked from the back of the room. Correct. Know this though. If you choose not to answer the final question, you and your teammates will automatically fail the exams. Ibiki said. What? What kind of idiot would choose not to answer it? A genin from Rain Village said. One who knows of the other half of this rule. If you choose to attempt to answer the final question, and get it wrong, then you and your team will still fail the test. Also, you will be banned from ever taking the Chunin exams again, being forced to remain a genin forever. Ibiki said. A chill ran through the air at those words. Various whispers were heard among the genin in the room. The choice had basically come down to either you fail and wait almost a full year, or you fail and never get to do it again. Even Shino was slightly tenser than he was before. Suddenly, Kiba slammed his palms on the table in anger, causing all the attention in the room to be focused on him. You got to be kidding me. There are plenty of ninja here that have taken this exam more than once, we know there are. Kiba yelled. Well, I guess you're just shit out of luck, are you? I wasn't making the rules in the past, but I am now. Either you take the failing grade, leave now and take the exam next time, or you try, fail, and never take it again. It's your choice. Ibiki said with a grin. Talk about a no-win situation, I kind of feel sick to my stomach now, Sakura thought. Ready? Then let's begin. Those who do not wish to partake in the final question need only to raise their hand. Once their number has been confirmed, they may leave the room with their number as confirmed. Ibiki said. Almost immediately after saying that, several genin began to raise their hands and leave. Naruto couldn't believe that the man had shaken them up so bad, all thought truth be told, he had his doubts too. Like all the others, he was faced with a lose-lose situation. He sat quietly, thinking it over, not noticing that Hinata was staring at him with her own confused thoughts. Naruto, he said that this was going to be his big shot, to become Snake Sanin and get some respect from the villagers. I can understand why he doesn't want to raise his hand, but if he gets it wrong, his dream will be crushed forever. Hinata thought. Man, what am I supposed to do? If I flake out and reject the question, then Shino and Hinata have to pay for me being a chicken, and they'll fail too. If I choose to answer the question and get it wrong, then I'm going to end up being a worthless genin forever. Every single one of those villagers will be right and I will never become to new Snake Sanin. Naruto thought. He's not raising his hand, Hinata thought as she looked back to her friend, teammate and her crush. Hinata watched as more and more teams left, but Naruto remained in his seat, staring down at his test. Become the Snake Sanin is all you want to be, but your dream will rip away from you forever. I can't let that happen, Naruto. Hinata thought. Hinata shakily began to raise her hand, but then gasped in shock at what she saw happening before her. Shino's eyes widened, though you'd never have seen them past his sunglasses. Lee nearly choked, and Tenten gasped in horror. Naruto had begun to slowly raise his hand, now having it hover just above his head. One of the Chunin proctors began to search for his name, only to come to a stop when Naruto suddenly slammed his palm down upon the table. Hell no. No way in hell am I about to quit. The word is not even in my dictionary, and if it were, I still wouldn't do it. So bring on that last resort question of yours, because even if I end up as a genin for the rest of my damn life, I still be the new Snake Sanin. I'm not scared of you. Naruto yelled. Idiot. I don't think you even gave a thought to Hinata and myself, still you have guts, Shino thought with a chuckle. Yosh. His eyes were burning with the flames of youth. Guy-sensei would be proud, Naruto. Lee thought. Naruto, there's no way I could run after hearing that, Hinata thought while blushing. That was amazing, he gets so fire. Tenten thought. It was more than I thought, he seemed a little weird at first, but now I'm starting to think he's kind of cute, Tamari thought. No one else is leaving, not that I'd expect them to after that, but still, let's see, that brought us down to 78 candidates still left. That's one hell of a kid you got there, Anko Mitarashi. Ibiki thought. The proctor broke into a hearty laugh. Everyone looked confused at him for a moment, before he regained his cool and suddenly smiled brightly at them. Congratulations to those of you who are left. You've just completed the first part of the Chunin exams. Ibiki yelled. What? What do you mean we're done? What about the last question? Choji asked in shock. There is no 10th question past the whole, accept or reject thing. Ibiki said. So why did we have to suffer through those other 9 questions? That was such a waste of time, not to mention troublesome. Shikamaru said in a lazy tone. The questions were neither troublesome, nor a waste of time. The point of those questions was to test your abilities of spying and gathering information. Ibiki said. Spying? Kankuro asked. Yes. Remember the rule I said at the start? That you pass or fail as a 3-man team. It was using that rule that I pressured you with the fear that anything you did wrong would bring your teammates down with you. The catch was that the questions on the test were beyond the answering level of the basic genin. So most of you came to the same conclusion. That being that the only way to retain all of your answers, was in fact to cheat. Ibiki yelled. In other words, you set up the test with the assumption that we would cheat. Sasuke said. Correct. To ensure that you would be able to sneak, we snuck 2 ringers in, 2 chunin who knew all the answers to the test. Ibiki said. Of course. Any idiot could tell, right Akamaru? Kiba asked. The dog barked happily in response. That idiot had no idea, Sasuke thought. Of course, anyone who cheated in an obvious way, failed, Ibiki said. Ibiki paused as he untied his headband, bandana combo. The genin in the room gasped in horror as they noticed the scars, bruises, and wounds that were all over the top of his head. There are times when being sloppy and getting caught in an act of espionage can cost you dearly, sometimes in ways that cost more than life itself. Ibiki said. Ibiki tied the bandana back on, and smiled. He paused as he looked over to the window and smiled. That time already, huh? Ibiki asked. That time, Ino asked. A large black shadow began to make its way to the window. Suddenly, Naruto got a shaky feeling in the pit of his stomach. He laid his head on the desk and prayed to God that he was wrong, that it was just a dream. Funny how things go when you hope for those kinds of things, huh? The glass shattered to pieces as a woman jumped through the window. A banner launched from behind her, which had her name and shinobi rank painted on it. Team Guy, and the Rookie 9 all read the banner, and then glanced back to the Naruto with his face on the desk moaning. The room was dead quiet as everyone stared at the woman who just jumped through the window. Naruto's face couldn't be any redder. He thought it was kind of funny when Anko refused to tell him anything about what the exams would be like, and now he knew why. Anko looked about the room at the remaining genin, and a slight scowl came to her face. She looked back at Ibiki and rolled her eyes at the scarred man. 78 genin. You passed 26 teams this year. Anko asked. What can I say? We had a slightly higher caliber of kids this year. Ibiki said. You just went too easy on them. You're getting old, Ibiki, Anko said. And you think you can do better? Ibiki asked. Hell yes I can. By the time I get done, at least half of these guys will be toast. Anko yelled. Cut us down by half. Sakura thought. I'm getting a charge just thinking about this. I'll explain the details of the exam at the next testing area. Everyone follow me to the next destination. Anko yelled. That next destination was training ground number 44. It was a rather odd-looking training ground to the others. There were no training dummies or posts. In fact, the grounds around the area looked as if it had been forgotten about years ago. The genin gazed in awe at the large wired and chain fence that held a giant forest within it. Well, all except for Naruto. Unlike the last test, he knew what to expect now. It had to do something with the forest, something that he had experience in dealing with since he passed through there on a regular basis. Welcome to the arena for the second test of the Chunin exams, otherwise known as the Forest of Death. Don't worry about the meaning of the name. You're all about to find out why it's called that. Anko said. Please. Is that supposed to scare us or something? This place is probably just like the other forests around Konoha. Just another walk in the park. Naruto yelled. Naruto laughed to himself, finally having the chance to mess with his mother. Bad move. Very bad move. No sooner had those words left his lips, and Anko tossed a kunai at the boy. He smiled as he moved his head to the left, dodging the blade, only to have another kunai fly at him, grazing the right side of his cheek. She had already appeared behind the blonde genin, and had her arms wrapped around him. She smiled at the blood that was trickling down his cheek, and reached into her pocket for something. Naruto. What is Anko doing to him? Hinata thought and worried. Ah, you got something on your cheek there, Anko said. Anko pulled a handkerchief out of her pocket and licked it some before wiping it on his cheek. Naruto had never been redder. There, now my big, strong man is all nice and clean. Anko yelled. There was an audible silence among the genin, as they didn't know whether to laugh or piss themselves from the fear that the crazy woman seemed to fill the air with. Though it was fair to say that Kiba and Sasuke were rolling on the inside with laughter. Suddenly the air grew tenser, as Anko grabbed another kunai from a pocket on her coat and held it out behind her. It was pressed rather closely to the throat of a grass shinobi. The said genin had a smile on her face as she held two kunai to Anko, wrapped in an oddly lengthened tongue. I'm sorry, but you dropped these, the grass genin said. No offense, but there are only a handful of people that I trust to be behind me. You aren't one of them. I suggest that you not do that, especially while radiating bloodlust, unless you want to die, that is. Anko said as she took the knives from the girl. I'll try to keep that under control. You see, the sight of fresh warm blood just makes me lose control, the grass genin said. The other genin watched as the grass genin slipped back into the crowd with her team. Naruto couldn't quite put his finger on it, but there was something familiar about the woman. She had a smell that he had smelled somewhere recently, but he couldn't remember who it was. Meanwhile, the other Konoha genin were still in shock about what happened. Kiba already had the hot for Anko. Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, and Sakura thought she was nuts. Sasuke was confused as to why Naruto even let the kunai graze him. He knew Naruto could have dodged it, but didn't. This Proctor is also Naruto's mother. She's even more insane than he is, must run in the family, Sakura thought. Did you really have to do that? Naruto asked Anko as he rubbed his cheek and rejoined his team. Talk about embarrassing, Naruto mutters. Ah, you'll get over it, Anko said as she walked with him. Anko handed him a stack of papers and grinned. Now hand those out while I show everyone pictures from one of the first baths I ever gave you. Anko said. What? Naruto yelled. Relax, squirt, I'm kidding, Anko said. Anko walked back to the front of the genin. What Blondie is handing out here are consent forms. Everyone has to sign them and return them to me. Anko yelled. Consent forms. What do we need these for? Kankuro asked as he took one from Naruto. We want all the details covered before the first death occurs. Read it over, and then sign it so we won't be held liable for when you die. You wouldn't want me to get in trouble, would you? Anko asked. Deaths. Naruto goes through that forest every day, it's not that dangerous, is it? Hinata thought. First, I'll explain what the second exam entails, then you can sign forms. After that, bring the forms to the hut behind you with your 2 teammates, and submit them. Now for the exam itself. Simply put, it's a no-holds-barred survival test. Let's start with the basic topography of the training ground. Anko said. Anko paused as she pulled a scroll out of one of her coat pockets and opened it up to reveal a small map. Training ground number 44 is bordered by a perimeter, interrupted at 44 locked gates. Inside of that is a series of forests, a river, and about 10 kilometers out from that is a tower. Anko said. Troublesome, Shikamaru said as he yawned. Shut up, brat. This is the part you need to listen to. As I said, inside the forest, you will undergo a survival test. During the test, you may use any skills or tools available to you. In a sense, it's kind of a fight to the death version of capture the flag, or in this case capture the scroll. Anko said. Capture the scroll? Ino asked. Yes. Anko said. Anko pulled out 2 more scrolls, a black one and a white one. The black one had the kanji for earth written on it, and the white one had the kanji for heaven on it. She held them both up for the genin to see. There is a scroll for earth and a scroll for heaven. It's your job to get them both. There are a total of 78 of you here, or in other words, 26 3-member teams. 13 teams will start out with a heaven scroll and the other 13 teams will start out with an earth scroll. The catch is you need them both to pass. You'll have to hold onto the scroll you're given at the start, while managing to get a hold of the other scroll you need to pass the exam with, and then bring them to the tower in the center. Anko said. But there are only 13 of each scroll. That means that half of us won't be able to pass the exam. Sakura said. Congratulations for figuring that out on your own. Not only that, but you have a time limit. You will have 5 days to get both scrolls and make it to the tower. Anko said. 5 days? What are we supposed to do for food? Choji asked in fear. About no food, of course. That's your problem. It wouldn't be a survival test if we held your hand and walked you through it all, would it? The forest is full of berries and such that you should be able to use for nourishment. Of course, there are also ferocious beasts, deadly insects, poisonous snakes, and other types of creatures in there to deal with, not to mention the fact that when you all enter, you become each other's enemies, no matter what kind of relationship you had before. That being said, it should be obvious now that there's no way that a full 13 teams won't pass. As time shortens, the trials will come harder and faster. The time needed for recovery from injuries and mistakes will shorten drastically. Enemies also surround you at all times, so you'll have to sleep with one eye open. In addition to those who will die trying to capture a scroll while protecting their own, many of you will probably succumb to exposure, starvation, dehydration, and exhaustion. Anko said. Anko paused as she let all that sink in. There were questionable looks on all of the faces of the genin, Naruto included. He always knew that his mother was a hard head, but the fact that she would give out a test that everyone could die from. Maybe the jokes Kakashi, Iruka, and Kurenai were right and she was borderline insane. His attention was snapped back to Anko as she resumed the test's explanation. Now we have the basic rules out of the way, let's talk about the rules that pertain to being disqualified. Rule number 1, if you fail to reach the tower before time expires, as a 3-member squad, or with both scrolls in your possession, then you are out. Second, any team that loses a member during the test, be it to death or injury, are also out. Third, if you leave the forest for any reason during the test, you're out. Last, you are forbidden to look at the contents of the scrolls until you reach the inside of the tower. Anko said, "What happens if we look at them?" Kiba asked. "If you're so curious about it, crack it open when the test starts and found out. On the slim chance that any of you make it to Chunin, there will be times that you will be trusted with top secret documents. Consider this a test of your trustworthiness," Anko said with a grin. A slight chill filled the air as they took that in. "One last piece of advice, stay alive," Anko said. The teams were dispersed and began to read over and sign the consent forms. They would then take their forms to the hut Anko mentioned earlier, and trade the forms for a scroll. A black curtain was attached to the front of the booth. The curtain would open to allow a team to walk inside and then close as the team inside would trade their forms for a scroll. Sasuke smirked as he watched several teams do this. Pretty sneaky. They conceal which scroll each team gets and which member carries it. That Ibiki guy was right, stealing intelligence is a matter of life and death. In the event that all of us were to fight like she wants us to, this could very well become a massacre, Sasuke thought. This is nuts. I think she's excited at the thought of some of the others dying, Naruto said as he signed the form without even passing it a second glance. "Hey, Naruto," Kiba yelled as he ran to the blonde. "What?" Naruto asked. "The proctor is pretty hot, huh? I'd love to." Kiba was cut off. "Idiot. That's my mother," Naruto yelled as he kicked Kiba in the stomach. Naruto walked away from the wailing dog ninja who was rolling around on the ground. He rejoined his team, and they went behind the curtain to trade their forms for a scroll. The 3 of them were handed an earth scroll. Naruto looked Shino dead in the eye and handed the boy the scroll. They then exited the hut and went towards the gate that they would enter the forest from. Naruto and his squad took gate number 32. As they walked towards the said gate, Shino noticed the slight concern on Hinata's face, and decided to voice her concern for her. "Naruto, exactly how dangerous is this forest?" the bug ninja asked. "Well, it can be pretty rough if you're unprepared. Like mommy said, there are lots of snakes, poisonous insects, and now enemy ninja to keep an eye out for, but," Naruto said. "But," Shino asked, "that shouldn't be a problem for us. We got you to keep an eye out for the insects and such. The place I call home is here, so I know my way around here pretty good, and we also got a secret weapon." Naruto yelled. "What weapon is that?" Hinata asked. "You. With your Byakugan, we have the ability to see anything coming at us. There's no way we can lose," Naruto yelled. "Let's just see how long you keep that train of thought," Dosu thought as he watched Squad 8 talk amongst themselves from a neighboring gate. "Dosu, you coming or not?" Zaku called out. "Right," the fellow Sound Genin said as he walked towards gate number 41. When he was sure that he was far away from the rest of the Konoha teams, he looked both Kin and Zaku in the eye and nodded. "You remember who we're going after, right?" Dosu asked. "Yeah, but what about the other one?" Kin asked. "Don't worry about him. The boss said he'd take care of him first, then go after the original target," Zaku said. "While he goes after the first brat, we take care of the other target long enough for him to show up," Dosu said. Over at gate number 14, Squad 7 readied themselves to enter the forest. Sasuke was leaning up against the gate, Sakura was busy swooning over him, and Kiba was talking to Akamaru. The small puppy barked happily as Kiba petted him on the head before turning to face his team. This is going to be cake. They're not a team here who can take us down. Kiba said. Just don't get in the way, Sasuke said. What's that supposed to mean? Kiba asked. What the heck do you think it means? Because of you, we almost failed that C-rank mission to Hidden Rain Village. Sakura yelled. Please, if Sasuke would have been a team player like Kakashi-sensei said we should be, none of the mishaps would have happened. The dog boy yelled. It was both of your faults. I work alone, which is when I become Chunin, I can finally reach a step closer to killing him, Sasuke thought. Sasuke paused in his thoughts as he noticed both of his teammates staring at him intently. Hey, Sasuke, you alright? Kiba asked. Sasuke didn't say anything. He turned away and waited for the gates to open. Shikamaru yawned lazily at the gate number 26. The whole thought of this thing was so troublesome. The written test was bad enough, but being stuck in the middle of a forest like this for 5 days. That was just too much. If it wasn't for fear of hearing another one of Ino's seemingly endless whining and screaming fits, he'd have jumped ship from this thing long ago. He had just begun to doze off to sleep, when all of a sudden he got the back end of a fist to the head. Wake up, loser. This isn't any time to be sleeping. Ino yelled as she tossed Choji the scroll they had just received. What do you want, woman? We have another 5 minutes before they open the gates, the Nara said while rubbing his head and yawning. Because this is time we could be using for planning. Ino grinned while looking over at Sasuke and the rest of Squad 7. Ino looked at her 2 boys and tried to encourage them. All right, this is it, Team 10. This is going to a brutal, desperate fight where everyone we run into will be an enemy out to attack us. Now what are we going to do? Ino asked. Ino waited for them to shout, fight, loudly and in unison. Hide, Choji suggested. Quit, Shikamaru offered. Ino buried her head in her hands and screamed. Idiots, Neji thought as he watched the scene unfold from gate number 27. They're almost as pathetic as Hinata's team. No matter, I'm sure they'll be eliminated soon enough, Neji said. Neji opened his eyes and turned his attention back onto Lee and Tenten. Yosh, is something wrong, my fearless comrade? Lee asked. No, now be quiet, Neji said. That was kind of rude, Neji. Tenten said. Listen, Neji said, completely ignoring what the girl had said. Once we enter the forest, everyone is an enemy. I don't care what kind of relationship you may have with Mitarashi or my cousin, but the same goes for them, got it? Neji asked in angry about Naruto and Hinata. You should know why. But Neji, they are our comrades, it would be unyouthful to just hunt them down like that, Lee said. If Hinata and her team can't handle the chance that they run into us, or anyone else, then that is their fate. Remember that destiny cannot be changed. What is meant to happen, will happen, Neji said as he turned away. Be careful out there, Naruto and Hinata, looks like Neji's gunning for you too, Tenten thought. Gaara and his siblings sat in anticipation as they waited for the gates to open. The Sand team had taken gate number 2 as their choice, and were basically sure that they would pass this test. Man, 5 days in the middle of some damn forest. Kankuro thought. I also hope I get the chance to run into that cute blonde boy from the other day in this place, Tamari thought. Gaara too was lost in thought as he waited for the gates to open. His cold, deathly stare floated from several of the gates, until he caught a glimpse of Naruto. Almost immediately, he could feel a sense of bloodlust rising as the blonde chatted amongst his teammates. A small smile crept across Gaara's lips as he felt the anticipation rising. Naruto Mitarashi, one-tailed raccoon dog says you are someone to watch out for, that a familiar presence is inside of you, are you, could you possibly be like me? Gaara thought. No sooner had those thoughts left Gaara's head, the gates to the forest suddenly fly open. Immediately, all the various genin squads took to the forest, bouncing along the various trees and branches that lined the area. Anko smiled as she watched Naruto and the others take off. She wanted Naruto to be safe, but she knew she didn't have much to worry about with him. Still, she had a feeling that this would be an interesting test to monitor this year. A team of mist genin make their way through the forest of death. They are clad in all black. Only their faces are visible, with their headband over top of the foreheads. Unlike other teams, who hunted down safe spots in the forest to plan and strategize, this team was busy trying to hunt down the weakest team they could find, and an easy-to-nab scroll to boot. Suddenly, their leader smiled as he came to a stop, a smile on his face. His two teammates stopped behind him, curious as to what was going on, until they looked below and a smile came to their faces as well. Down below, completely unaware of the mist team's presence, was Squad 8. Alright, since the tower is where everyone wants to get, we should get to the area just outside of there, and set our traps there. Naruto said to Hinata and Shino. Yes, however, let's make sure that we are alone first, Shino said. Naruto and Hinata's eyes widened as they heard Shino stress the alone. The leader of the Mist team chuckled as he watched the team below chat as if they had nothing to worry about. He knew that they knew of their presence, but that didn't matter to him. Look at them, those stupid kids might as well paint a huge target on themselves, the leader said. Still, we should be careful. From the sound of things, they do know we're somewhere close by. We should, one of the other members of the team said. The Mist genin froze. Both the leader of the group, as well as his teammate looked over, just in time to see a shiver run up the boy's spine. The boy's skin color seemed to pale slightly as his shivering worsened. The leader of the group reached out and put a hand on his shoulder. Hey, Sano, you alright? You're white as a sheet. What the hell is wrong? The leader asked. The leader of the team's eyes widened as he saw something moving under Sano's shirt. From out of the neck of the article of clothing, crawled a leech, which was in the middle of a most delicious drink. Before either of the other two teammates could react, a rustling of leaves were heard from above. Both teammates looked up, and saw a mass of leeches begin to fall from the trees, and attach themselves to the mist shinobi. The three fell from the trees, landing in front of Squad 8. Hinata cringed slightly at the sight of the leeches ing the blood of the mist team. Naruto grinned at the sight of the blood covering their bodies while he grabbed the scroll that the team had dropped. He stopped just short of the leader, looking as some of leeches were going to town. Man, these things really, huh? And pun is totally intended, Naruto said as he poked a leech with a nearby stick. Flying leaf leeches, they can sense body heat and perspiration, and fling themselves en masse at their prey, which is almost anything that moves, if the victim cannot manage to remove them within 5 minutes, or if you panic trying to get rid of them, then you're finished, at any rate, one team down. Shino said. What scroll did they each have, Naruto? Hinata asked. Believe it or not, we just got ourselves a heaven scroll. That was almost too easy, Naruto said. So we'll head to the T-Tower now? Hinata asked. Are you kidding? I'm just now starting to have fun. Naruto yelled. In his own way, Naruto is right, heading to the tower now will still leave us with too many competitors to face in whatever the next test may be. Let's remain in the forest for now, and see if we can't get rid of a few more enemies. Shino said. Hinata agreed with the two, and the three leapt up in the trees to continue making their way through the forest. As they left, nets resting underneath the downed mist team snapped, trapping them in the trees. The team let out a blood-curtailing scream as Squad 8 left them, one that managed reach the depths of the forest, and even as far as outside, where Anko sat staring at the clouds waiting for some time to pass before heading to town for a bit. One team already down. This year's teams are definitely interesting, Anko thought with a grin. Anko hopped off of the log she was sitting at and made her way into town to grab a bite to eat. After all, just because the kids have to fight life and death and hunt down anything they can for food didn't mean that she had to do the same. Team 7 was progressing through the forest at a nice pace, but found themselves stopping as they heard the screams of the mist team spread through the forest. Sakura moved slightly closer to Sasuke as if he would be able to protect her from harm, however he simply scoffed at her and moved further away. Sakura looked around, making sure they were alone before speaking. Man, this place is creepy. Why in the world did that crazy proctor have to hold it in some place like this? Sakura asked. Come on, Sakura, this place is no different than any other forest we've been in. I'm telling you, there's nothing to be scared of. Kiba yelled. For once I agree with Kiba, you're just getting in the way, stop being annoying and keep your eyes peeled for enemies. Sasuke said. There was a brief silence for a moment as the three looked around. Suddenly, Akamaru began to bark. Kiba looked up at his canine companion as he did so, nodding every so often as he listened to the pup. Needless to say, this scared Sakura slightly more than she was already, and she walked closer to the dog ninja to see what was up. What is it? Enemies? Sakura asked and whispered. No, Akamaru and me are going to take a leak. Kiba said. Kiba led Akamaru away into a slightly deeper part of the forest. The two remaining members of Team 7 waited only a moment or two before both Kiba and Akamaru returned. A grin was plastered on his face as he sighed happily. Phew, that's better. Kiba yelled. Akamaru barked happily in response. Sakura sighed again in disbelief. She didn't understand how anyone could be so vulgar, and was beginning to wonder if all of the members of the Inuzuka clan were this way. However, Sasuke's eyes narrowed at the boy. Something didn't seem right to him. Then suddenly, his eyes widened, and quickly ran forward and backhanded Kiba, sending the dog ninja to the ground. Needless to say, Ino was shocked. Luckily, Akamaru managed to hop of Kiba's head before the boy hit the ground. Sasuke, I appreciate the chivalry, but don't you think that was overdoing things a bit? Sakura asked. What the hell is your damn problem, Sasuke? Kiba asked. Where the hell are Kiba and Akamaru? Sasuke asked. What are you talking about, Sasuke? They're right there. Sakura yelled. No, look at his headband. The leaf symbol on it is backwards. Also, Akamaru's ears are brown, not black. Kiba isn't the best at transformation jutsu, but even he's better than you are. Sasuke. Not bad, the fake Kiba said. A cloud of smoke exploded from where he was sitting, revealing another Miss Genin. Akamaru too disappeared in a cloud of smoke, revealing the dog to be nothing more than a genjutsu at the time. The Uchiha prodigy lives up to his nickname, let's see how he fights, Miss Genin said. The enemy shinobi ran straight at the two members of Team 7. Sasuke cursed as Sakura made no move to fight back, as if she was frozen in place. Quickly, the boy ran forward, and leapt into the air while making the necessary hand signs. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. Sasuke said. Sasuke blew a barrage of fireballs at the enemy ninja who barely managed to dodge them. Quickly, the Mist Genin countered the Uchiha's attack by leaping at him with a kunai in hand. Sasuke was ready for him though, and descended towards the man with a kunai in his hand as well. The two knives clanged together as they clashed, which was followed by the two opponents jumping away from each other. Not bad, Sasuke, not bad at all, However, I have other things to do, so why not hand over that pretty little scroll of yours, and I'll be on my way, Miss Genin said. I don't think so, buddy. A voice yelled from above. Sasuke and the Miss Genin looked up just in time to see the real Kiba jump at them from a tree limb up above. He tossed a handful of kunai at the enemy shinobi, who jumped back as they landed. He looked over the reassembled Team 7, and chuckled. 2-on-1 won't make any difference. Miss Genin said. We'll see about that, Sasuke said. Sasuke ran forward and attached a kunai to the sole of his shoe as he ran, a technique he learned through the tree climbing exercise with Kakashi. The mist ninja jumped back, trying to avoid whatever attack Sasuke was planning, but all the Uchiha did was smile. He stopped his pursuit and reared his leg back, letting loose a powerful kick. The kunai flew forward, causing the mist ninja's eyes to widen. He was about to dodge the attack, when suddenly Sasuke jumped forward, Sharingan activated, and finished thrusting the kunai into the ninja's chest, just narrowly missing his heart. Now for the finisher. One fang over fang coming up. Kiba yelled. The dog boy jumped forward and started spinning in a rapid movement. He aimed straight for the enemy ninja, blowing straight into his stomach, and sending the man falling straight to the forest floor. The mist ninja stumbled up to his feet, and ran away as fast as he could from Team 7. He was in no condition to survive another full attack like that from Sasuke and Kiba, and would be damned if he would die here. That was close, but did you really have to stab him and stuff like that? Seemed kind of over the line, Sakura said. Sakura, tell me something, do you want to live? Sasuke suddenly asked. What kind of question is that, Sasuke? Of course I want to, Sakura said. Then next time, I suggest doing something other than standing around with your hands in your pockets. Just standing around like that in a situation like that could get you killed, especially if that guy would have had his friends with him. Sasuke said. The Uchiha began to walk away, and then stopped to look over his shoulder at Kiba and Sakura. Come on, we need to plan, Sasuke said. Within the next few minutes, Team 7 was in another forest clearing. Trees surrounded them closely, and a hollowed stump rested behind them, serving as a hiding spot if need. The three genin and puppy sat in a closely closed circle, barely whispering just in case they happened to be close in the presence of others. All right, remember that if we get separated like that again, we can't trust each other blindly like we did back there. We barely got out of that one all right, and things could get worse next time. Sasuke said. So what are we supposed to do? Sakura asked. No problem for me. Akamaru and I can smell the difference between you guys and imposters. Kiba yelled. Yeah, but we can't do the same as you, nor can we do that if you aren't around. As useful as your skills might be, we have to think of another idea, Sasuke said. What about a code? Like a password? Sakura asked. Good idea. That way, no matter how an enemy looks or sounds, if they get it wrong while looking like us, we'll know they're a fake. Sasuke said. So what kind of password should we use? Kiba asked. A poem. It's called the Nikki. When I or one of you asks for it, here's how you respond. We thrive in chaos of the enemy tide. Quiet shinobi don't need dens to hide. Our only concern is to watch and wait, until the enemy lowers the gate. Sasuke said. Sakura nodded her head in agreement. Kiba on the other hand, had his eyes closed, trying to focus and replay the poem in his head. He grunted in dissatisfaction as he opened his eyes and glared at Sasuke. How do you expect us to remember something like that? It's too long and complicated. Kiba yelled while Akamaru barked as well. Idiot. I already have it memorized. Sakura yelled, punching him on the back of the head. I think we need a better, shorter password. How about swordfish? Kiba asked. rubbing the new lump on the back of his head. "We're using the Nikki," Sasuke simply said. Sasuke reached forward and grabbed the team's scroll, placing it in one of his pouches on his belt. "I'll hold on to the scroll. Now, let's go," Sasuke said. The team began to stand up and move, when suddenly, a blade of grass blew through the air, cutting against Kiba's cheek. The dog ninja didn't have time to question it though, as a massive gust of wind soon blew through the clearing. Team 7 did their best to hold on and not be blown away, but in the end, all efforts were wasted, and everything went dark. The point of the second test was to whittle down the remaining teams from the first exam by as many as possible. Kankuro and Temari both knew this well. It was hard not to, seeing as how the proctor seemed to enjoy talking about that aspect the most when giving out the rules of this test. The problem though, was the fact that their third teammate was Gaara. Which in most cases meant that whatever opposing team they ran into, well, they just hoped they wouldn't run into too many, though as expected, things never went their way for long. Kankuro was really wishing that God would be on his side just once. "Looks like we got lucky. A couple of wet behind the ear brats from Hidden Sand Village will be nothing to take down," said one of the shinobi on the team from Hidden Rain Village. "I really suggest you guys just turn and run. You idiots wouldn't last a minute against Gaara," Kankuro said. "We'll see about that," Rain Genin said. The Rain Ninja leapt forward and pulled out several umbrellas that he had strapped to his back. He launched them all into the air, and smirked as he began to run through several hand signs. Gaara seemed unimpressed though, and simply continued to stand with his arms crossed, watching as the Rain Ninja attacked. Suddenly, the umbrellas seemed to stop in the air as they opened. They all began to spin around, unleashing a barrage of needles. All of which flew downward, heading straight for Gaara. "You're completely surrounded. There aren't any gaps or blind spots with my Jirosenban. Just 1,000 needles that will use my chakra to zero in on you like missiles. An easy and effective end." Rain Genin yelled. "It's my turn now." "Desert Coffin," Gaara said. Sand began to flow around the attacking Rain Ninja, wrapping around his feet, arms, hands, body, and head. Soon, the man was cocooned inside of a giant mass of sand. Gaara slowly began to rotate his hand as the sand cocoon rose into the air, hovering there momentarily. The Rain Man tried to escape, twisting left and right, screaming, but it was futile. He was right where Gaara wanted him. Gaara rotated his palm just a bit more, causing the sand to squeeze down on the man just enough to send 3 umbrellas shooting out of the holder on his back. Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro each picked one up, and opened them. "Sand burial," Gaara yelled. Gaara then closed his opened palm completely. The sand crushed down all the way, causing an explosion of sand, blood, and a scream to flow out into the area. As the mess cleared, not one trace was left of the Rain Ninja. Gaara and his siblings were completely clean from the splattered blood, although the umbrellas weren't. Slowly, one of the remaining members of the Rain team walked out and placed a scroll down on the ground. "Please, Jay, just take the scroll, and let us go," Rain Genin said, pleaded. "Fine. Just go," Gaara said. The remaining members of the Rain team run away like a scared little girl. Kankuro walked over calmly to the scroll, smiling as he picked it up. "A full set of scrolls. Looks like we're done here. Now that we have this heaven scroll, we go straight for the tower," Kankuro said. The team slowly left the field, heading for the tower. Anko relaxed with a sigh as she took another bite of the stick of dango. For some reason, the taste of her favorite food had increased by 20% during the exams. While normally she would have wondered what could account for this, but she determined it had to do with the thoughts of all the genin probably engaging each other in mortal combat. Then, She had the thought of Naruto, and began to wonder if he was alright. What the hell am I thinking? The kid's a Mitarashi. I raised him to be my own son. He's probably the one kicking the most in there. Anko said to herself as she took a sip of the bean soup. Anko took the final bite of dango, and tossed the empty stick into a nearby tree. Said tree was now decorated by what must have been almost 30 or 40 sticks. All of them were arranged into the Konoha leaf symbol. She took the final sip of her bean soup, and tossed the cup into a nearby trash can, and hopped to her feet. Guess I'll head for the tower. The actually talented squads ought to be able to clear the test in under a day's time. Anko said to herself. No sooner had those words left her mouth, did a cloud of smoke appear behind her. The woman turned around to see a chunin with glasses and a headband tied on top of his head like a bandana. He looked worried about something, causing the woman to sigh in disgust. What's with the look? Anko asked. Terrible news, Anko, Chunin yelled. Already? What the hell could the problem be this soon? Anko asked. We've found dead bodies. 3 of them, Chunin yelled. Dead bodies? Anko asked. Yes. Please, it's easier to show. Come quickly, Chunin yelled. Anko followed the Chunin as he requested. He ended up leading her to a small graveyard located in the outer parts of Konoha. 2 other Chunin were already there, examining the dead bodies that the one with glasses informed Anko about. Here they are, the Chunin said. Anko walked over for a closer look. We went through some of their personal belongings, were able to determine that they were from Hidden Grass Village, here to take part in the Chunin exams. The weird thing about them though, was that their faces were gone, almost as if they had been melted off. The skin is smooth, like they never even had them to begin with. Chunin said. Anko's eyes widened as the words of the Chunin came together in her mind. You, what the hell are you doing here? Anko thought. Anko's head jerked back and looked at the Chunin. Quick, show me the pictures from their ID cards. Anko yelled. The Chunin produced them at once and handed them to Anko. She gasped in horror as she saw them. What is it? The Chunin asked in confusion. Just go get Hokage-sama. Tell him about what you found, and that he sends 2 Anbu into the forest of death. I'm going ahead to catch the imposters. Anko yelled. The Chunin nodded and left Anko to do as told. Said woman jumped the fence into the forest, and began jumping from tree to tree. Her heart was racing in fear, anticipation, and anger. Please, Naruto, please don't be anywhere near Orochimaru, Anko thought. Sasuke awoke in a daze. The last thing he remembered was some huge gust of wind blowing through the woods. He was alive, and that was a plus. However, he was alone. Kiba, Sakura, and even Akamaru were nowhere to be seen, and that actually caused him to feel a little bit more nervous than he normally would. He looked around, determining that he had somehow managed to land under a bush, and slowly crawled out, kunai in hand. Sasuke. A familiar voice yelled. The boy turned around to see Sakura coming towards him. Quickly, the boy jumped back, and drew a kunai. He couldn't be too careful, and therefore he had to be on guard. He didn't need to go through a battle similar to what he went through earlier. Stay back. Don't come any closer until you give me the password. Sasuke yelled. Password. Right. The Nikki. We thrive in chaos of the enemy tide. Quiet shinobi don't need dens to hide. Our only concern is to watch and wait, until the enemy lowers the gate. Sakura said. Good. That takes care of you. Now we need to find Kiba and Akamaru, Sasuke said as he put the kunai away. No sooner had Sasuke said those words did the said boy and dog come out of the nearby bushes. Kiba sighed happily as he spotted Sasuke and Sakura. He began to run over to them, with Akamaru following close behind, barking happily. Good. You guys made it. Kiba yelled. Hold on, Kiba. What's the password? Sasuke asked. The Nikki right. No sweat. We thrive in chaos of the enemy tide. Quiet shinobi don't need dens to hide. Our only concern is to watch and wait, until the enemy lowers the gate. Kiba said. Phew. Looks like we're all back together again. Sakura said. Sasuke smirked though. As Kiba came closer, the Uchiha suddenly reached back and threw a kunai straight at the boy's head. Kiba managed to dodge the kunai, but he was mad, as imaginable. Also, Sakura didn't look too pleased either. What the hell are you doing, Sasuke? Kiba got the password right. Sakura yelled. He was fast enough to dodge my kunai this time too, the Uchiha said. What? Sakura asked in confusion. This isn't Kiba, don't you remember from earlier? Kiba didn't memorize the password. He said that there was no way he could memorize something like that, and then we got blown away. Sasuke said. Not bad, Sasuke, not bad at all, Kiba said evilly. A large cloud of smoke exploded from where Kiba and Akamaru were standing. Both Ino and Sasuke readied a kunai. Both on edge as they waited for the smoke to clear. As it did, a female grass ninja came into view. Well, that means that it's not that missed team, Sasuke said. Indeed, I am quite impressed that you figured it out so easily. Please tell me, how did you know that I was a fake? Grass Ninja asked. As I said before, Kiba had said that he wouldn't be able to memorize something like that in such a short time. Also, I knew you were watching us earlier, the Uchiha said. Watching? Sakura asked. Yeah, she was hiding underground the whole time, Sasuke said. Quite impressive, this might be more fun than I thought. Grass Ninja said. Elsewhere in the forest, Kiba and Akamaru slowly came to. The boy sat upright, shaking his head as he tried to get his bearings straight. Akamaru slowly got up on all fours, stretching in the process. That was a little rough, huh? Kiba asked the dog as he rose to his feet. Kiba took a look around, frowning in the process. Looks like Sakura and Sasuke are missing, we better go look for them. Kiba said. Akamaru barked in agreement. The puppy began to sniff the ground trying to pick up their scent, but suddenly screeched to a stop and began to growl. Kiba looked down, and took a quick sniff of the air. His eyes widened as he looked around, trying to pinpoint the smell. Snakes. I know I've smelled this in more than one place, stay on guard, Akamaru. Kiba said. The air became tense as both the dog and Kiba were on guard. The sound of a faint slithering and hissing became present as they carefully stepped forward. Kiba pulled out a kunai, slowly looking around the forest with every step. Suddenly, the growling of Akamaru became barking. Kiba turned around just in time to see a giant snake lunge out of the trees, and straight for the duo. Kiba and Akamaru both managed to jump out of the way just in time. Kiba tossed his kunai at the snake, but as expected it didn't make much of a dent. Didn't think that would work, Kiba said. Kiba reached into his pouch and pulled out a small pill. Didn't think I'd have to rely on these so soon, good thing I brought more than one, Kiba said. Kiba tossed the pill downward to Akamaru who caught it with ease. The puppy began to chew the pill, and then quickly swallowed it. His fangs began to grow longer, as well as his claws. His fur turned a reddish-brown color, and he began to growl more ferociously. Alright, time for the all-fours jutsu, Kiba said as he began to run through several hand signs. Kiba hunched down on all fours. His teeth became a little sharper, resembling those of a dog's. His nails also became longer, resembling claws as well. Akamaru began to growl more as well. Kiba smiled as he nodded, and made another set of hand signs. As he did so, Akamaru jumped on his back. The dog vanished in a cloud of smoke, only to be replaced by a second Kiba. The Kiba on top hopped down to where both were side by side, and the original Kiba smirked. He's going to lunge again. Just got to time it right. Kiba thought. Sure enough, the snake curled back. It glared at both of the two dog ninjas, licking its tongue across its lips. Then, without warning, it lunged forward with its mouth open. Kiba and the morphed Akamaru stared intently as the snake's fangs came closer. They both leapt towards the snake's open mouth. Man-beast ultimate taijutsu, fang over fang. Kiba yelled. Kiba and the morphed Akamaru leapt into the air, spinning at a rapid rate. Kiba knew that this was a one-shot only deal. If he and Akamaru missed, it was all over. He closed his eyes as they neared the snake. He felt the two of them connect to the reptile. He smiled and cheered as he felt them rip through the roof of the snake's mouth. Blood squirted into the air, covering nearby trees, bushes, rocks and such as the creature began die. It emitted a noisy screech as it died, while Kiba sighed as he fell onto his butt. Luck. No reason anyone else needs to know that though, Kiba said. Kiba paused as he looked up in the trees and sniffed the air. Sasuke and Sakura both stood cautiously against their foe. Kiba was still missing, and to their knowledge, he was possibly dead. Sakura kept one eye on the grass ninja, but her other on Sasuke. She decided that she would only act based on how the Uchiha did, and he had yet to make a move, as if he was planning something. This woman gives me the creeps, something about her definitely isn't right. And where in the world is Kiba? We could really use him in a situation like this, Sakura thought. I suppose you would like to steal my Earth Scroll, wouldn't you? The grass woman suddenly asked. Grass Ninja reached into her pocket and pulled out the said scroll, holding it out for Sasuke and Sakura to see. I'm sure it would go quite well, your Heaven Scroll, Grass Ninja said. How? When did she? Sakura began to question, looking at Sasuke. I'm not sure how she knew. Sasuke said. Sasuke reached into pouch on his belt, which held their Heaven Scroll. But let's not worry about that now. Let's just take her down, get her scroll, and then find Kiba. Sasuke said. A bold statement, Sasuke. However, there are more important things to worry about than this silly scroll, the Grass Ninja said. Grass Ninja raised the scroll for both genin to see, just before she literally ate the item right in front of them. Now, let's put this whole silly scroll business aside for the time being, and get to the real matter at hand, Grass Ninja said. Matter at hand? Sasuke asked. Indeed, a fight to the death. Grass Ninja yelled. The Grass Ninja slowly raised a hand to her face, her fingernails clawing into her own skin around her eyes. Suddenly, she ripped her hand forward, sending forth a downpour of blood, engulfing both Sakura and Sasuke. Both genin found themselves slamming into a tree trunk, and falling to their knees. Through the blood sailed two kunai, one each embedding itself into their foreheads, managing to pierce straight through Sasuke's headband even. Both genin sat on the ground, shaking in fear. Neither one able to move an inch. Slowly, their eyes widened as the blood and kunai disappeared. A genjutsu, it was just an illusion, Sasuke whispered. Sasuke felt something in his stomach gurgle, and he fell to his knees just in time to vomit. Slowly, Sasuke managed to regain his composure just enough to fall back onto his backside, staring in fear at his attacker. I could have sworn that we were dead. I felt it. The pain, it was so real. Just who the hell is this? Sasuke thought. Sasuke gazed over to his teammate quietly and slowly. Sakura? Sasuke whispered. Sakura didn't respond though. Her body was shaking. Tears were streaming from her eyes and down her cheeks. Sasuke cursed under his breath as his eyes shot over to the Grass Ninja who was laughing once more. Damn it, We're dead if we don't get out of here, Sasuke thought. What's the matter, Sasuke? Paralyzed with fear, the grass ninja asked. Not quite, Sasuke said as he managed to shakily rise to his feet, a kunai resting in his hand. Sasuke's Sharingan eyes were active once more. I can move just enough, Sasuke said. Is that so? Then let's see just how much, Grass Ninja said. The Grass Ninja flicked her wrist in the direction of Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke's eyes darted to Sakura beside him, and suddenly, he managed to take off running as he looked back, spotting two kunai flying through the air, embedding themselves in the trees as Sasuke managed to get Sakura out of the way just in time. Too close, a minute later, and she'd have been gone. Sakura's still out of it too, Sasuke thought. Sasuke paused as he looked down at his kunai. Slowly, he brought it up, his wrist shaking as he did so. No choice, I have to do it, Sasuke thought. The sound of steel breaking flesh entered the air. Sakura's eyes suddenly blinked, and she stared in shock at Sasuke. The Uchiha had taken his kunai, and driven it into his thigh, using the pain to keep himself alert and moving instead of falling back into that near paralysis state. The grass ninja watched this from the trees with amused eyes. Good, Sasuke-kun, it appears you are far more worthy of my time than the common prey. Keep it up, grass ninja thought. Sakura was worried about Sasuke though. That measure he had taken was quite wild. And he seemed to be losing his cool quickly as he breathed heavily. Sasuke, are you alright? Sasuke, what is it? Sasuke answer Sakura said. Sasuke's hand quickly went over top of Sakura's mouth, silencing the girl effectively. Her eyes widened as Sasuke began to panic, looking around for any trace of the two's attacker. We've got to move fast, or she'll find us again, but where do we go? Where can we go? Sasuke thought. Sasuke, I've never seen him so jumpy, so scared, Sakura thought as she watched the Uchiha boy quickly fall apart. Sakura's eyes widened as she began to hear a slithering sound. Slowly, Sakura's eyes drifted upward, coming to meet those of a snake, slithering down the tree to behind Sasuke. She began to struggle, trying to get Sasuke's attention. The Uchiha's eyes shot over to his teammate's direction, and came face to face with the snake. He cursed as he quickly released Sakura's mouth, both jumping of the branch as it lunged forward. Sakura managed to land away on another branch, safe from harm. However, the snake had already attacked again, chasing after Sasuke as he moved through the air. The boy reached into his shuriken pouch, and pulled out a handful of the throwing stars, and quickly hurled them at the snake, piercing through the beast as its mouth was snapped open in an attempt to devour Sasuke. He sighed in relief as he landed on a branch to catch his breath, Sakura doing the same as she watched. However, the two's celebration didn't last long. As the snake landed on a lower branch, a sizable lump appeared in its throat. Sasuke's eyes widened as the lump began to press against the snake's skin, until a loud rip echoed through the air. From the hole in the snake rose the grass ninja, smiling in a sadistic manner as she eyed Sasuke. Shame on you, Sasuke, letting your guard down like that. Good prey stays on their toes, it makes the chase so much more enjoyable, for the predator, Grass Ninja said. The grass ninja began to wrap herself around and scale upwards against the tree. Much like a snake, Sasuke quickly grabbed his kunai once more, preparing himself for battle. However, before he could engage the grass ninja in combat, a gray blur spun out of the trees, colliding into the woman, knocking her to the ground below. Sakura gasped in surprise. Sasuke's eyes widened in shock. The grass ninja frowned. Hey, Sasuke, I don't remember that damn password, Kiba said with a smirk as he eyed the grass ninja. Akamaru landed beside him, still in the shape of Kiba. He simply nodded in agreement, eyeing the grass ninja as his master did. Sakura smiled and cheered. All right, Kiba. That was amazing. Sakura yelled. Kiba. Huh, about time you showed up, but it's too late now. Sasuke said. The Uchiha sighed as he put his kunai away. He slowly walked forward, gaining the attention of all who were present. Kiba, I know you must be stoked to finally be doing something useful, saving the day and all, but forget it. The best thing to do right now is retreat. This woman, she's way out of our league, Sasuke said. The grass ninja smiled. My compliments on defeating the giant snake, Kiba, it is quite impressive that you managed to do so. Grass ninja said. Kiba glared at the woman cautiously. Akamaru looked around and nodded, gaining the attention of his master. Kiba sniffed the air and nodded back. You're right, boy, I smell them coming from her too. She smells just like a snake. And when I look at her, all that comes to mind is snake. I bet that snake was hers, and she's probably the one that beat Sasuke and Sakura like that, Kiba said. Akamaru nodded, and Kiba grinned. Let's take care of this. Kiba said to his dog. Kiba looked straight at the woman and smiled. You've been having it pretty easy up, till now, but you're out of luck. So go slither on back to whatever hole you climbed out of, because you got no hope of beating me. Kiba yelled. That idiot. He's going to get us all killed. I have to think of something, now. Sasuke thought. Sasuke looked at the grass ninja and Kiba, and then frowned more. His Sharingan eyes deactivated, and he then slowly walked forward. He reached into his pocket, and pulled out the team's scroll. This is all I can think of, here goes nothing, Sasuke thought. Sasuke gripped the scroll tighter, and slowly reached out. Kiba and Sakura's eyes narrowed as they watched the display, Kiba beginning to feel more and more angry with every passing moment. Slowly, Sasuke extended his arm forward, holding the scroll for anyone to take. Here, if it's this damn scroll you want, then it's all yours. Just take it, leave, and leave us alone. Sasuke yelled as he eyed the grass ninja. What? Sakura whispered. Sasuke, what the hell are you doing? Kiba asked. Pure anger was hanging in his voice. This better be some clever way of beating this woman and not just handing over everything we got. Kiba yelled. Shut up, Kiba, Sasuke yelled. The grass ninja laughed as she watched the display. Now, Kiba, don't be too hard on Sasuke. I mean, it is only the natural defense of prey to try and distract the predator with tastier bait. Grass ninja said. Sasuke spit in the woman's direction. Whatever, just take the scroll and go. Sasuke said. The Uchiha tossed the scroll to the grass ninja. However, before the scroll got to her, it was intercepted by two gray blurs. Both Kiba and Akamaru had jumped in the way of the flying scroll. Akamaru, who was still shaped like Kiba, was holding the scroll tightly in his mouth. Sasuke stared at Kiba, anger welling up. You idiot. Stay out of this. You're going to ruin everything. Sasuke yelled. Sasuke didn't have another chance to say anything though. Kiba made sure of that, as his clawed hand flew right into Sasuke's jaw, sending the Uchiha falling on his butt. Sakura gasped in shock, and the grass ninja merely watched in amusement. Kiba, what the hell are you doing? Sasuke asked. Shut up, Sasuke. I forgot the password, so I can't prove it, but you clearly are not Sasuke. Kiba yelled. What? You idiot. I am Sasuke. The Uchiha yelled. I said to shut up. Sasuke may be a fool, but he's not some chicken. He doesn't quit just because something gets tough. Besides, even if we did hand over the scroll, this woman may not let us live. So not only are you a chicken, but you are the idiot. Kiba yelled. At this point, the grass ninja was no longer chuckling, but laughing as hard as she could. She smiled as she wiped a tear from her eye, looking at Kiba and Sasuke. Kiba, you are a riot, Grass Ninja said, licking her lips. Slowly, the Grass Ninja pulled up the sleeve on her right arm, revealing a snake-shaped tattoo. You are right, though, why bargain, when I can simply kill you all and take the scroll? Grass Ninja yelled. The Grass Ninja quickly bit her thumb and dragged it across the tattoo, leaving a line of blood down the middle. Kiba and Akamaru both growl and ran on all fours at the Grass Ninja. Kiba bared his fangs and claws as he launched himself at her, yet the woman remained perfectly calm. Although the said can't be said for Sasuke, who began to panic once more. Kiba, get back here and stop it. Sasuke yelled. The genin in question didn't reply, however. He didn't stop charging either. Kiba's sights were set directly on the woman, and he was ready to take her down. Damn it, my faith in Uchiha is completely shot, Kiba yelled. Kiba's eyes narrowed as he and Akamaru neared their target. A mass of chakra began to build up around the woman, and then it swirled outward. A massive shape began to form underneath the Grass Ninja, revealing a giant snake. The woman smirked as Kiba and Akamaru's eyes widened. Damn it! He shouted as the snake snapped itself forward. The snake breaking the branch that Kiba was charging on straight in half, and sending both the boy and the dog into the air. Akamaru! Kiba yelled as the dog hit the ground with a thud. A puff of smoke erupted from the mark where the dog hit, transforming him back from a Kiba look-alike, to his normal and tiny dog form. Kiba landed on another branch. His eyes were glaring at the Grass Ninja with pure hate. Alright, you, no more fooling around. You will go down here. Kiba yelled as he got on all fours again. A foolish attempt, finish him off, but make sure to eat him too. I don't want to take any more chances. Kiba said. The snake seemed to nod and charged forward at the branch Kiba was standing on. Kiba remained silent and still as the snake charged. Sasuke and Sakura looked on in anticipation. He waited a moment more, and then began to run along the branch as fast as he could. Kiba then launched himself through the air, still keeping his sights on the snake and woman, as they got closer. Slowly, a grin came to his lips, right as the snake opened its mouth to swallow Kiba. Now, fang over fang, Kiba yelled. Kiba began to spin at a rapid and furious rate once more. He spun right into the snake's mouth, and literally began to rip through its innards. Sasuke and Sakura watched in shock and amazement as the boy tore through the serpent, which was also impressive to the Grass Ninja as well. Incredible. Kiba took it down like it was nothing, Sakura thought. Kiba smirked as he landed in front of Sasuke. The snake crashed down to the ground shortly in front of him. Breathing heavily, Kiba arose to a normal stature and looked over his shoulder at the Uchiha. Hey, Sasuke, are you alright, you big chicken? Kiba asked. He is, but you should worry more about yourself. A familiar voice said. Kiba and Sasuke's eyes snapped upward to meet those of the Grass Ninja. She began to laugh as her tongue shot out of her mouth, and wrapped around Kiba, lifting him up into the air. The Inuzuka began to struggle around in the air trying to free himself. The Grass Ninja smiled more at his feeble attempts. You've gotten in the way enough, boy, Grass Ninja muttered to Kiba, as her tongue slammed him into the ground. So I think it's time that you took a little nap, Grass Ninja said. Kiba screamed in pain as he was slammed into a tree. So sleep, Grass Ninja said. This time the boy was slammed into the ground again. And stay out of business that does not concern you. Grass Ninja said. The woman slammed Kiba into the ground one final time, and smiled as he was reduced to a motionless mass in her grasp. The woman smiled as she reached into his pocket, and pulled the team's scroll out. She then tossed Kiba into the air, and right over her shoulder. Sakura's eyes widened while Sasuke remained motionless, watching the event taking place before him. Quickly, the Haruno fired a kunai after Kiba, which managed to snag through the back of his coat, and embed itself into a tree, managing to keep him hanging there in the air before he fell to the ground. Phew! Got him! Sakura looked over at the boy hanging in the air, and then back over at Sasuke. Sasuke was still watching the display, not joining the fight at all. Sakura felt herself get mad. Slowly, she got up, and walked over the branch from where she once stood, and jumped over to the one Sasuke was, and smacked him. Loud and hard. How could you just sit there and watch that? Kiba just fought with everything he had, and you gave up. Sure. He's nothing like you at all. Kiba's loud, annoying, he smells bad, and he's a pain in the butt to deal with almost all the time, but at least Kiba's not a chicken who gives up like you. Sakura yelled. Sakura! Sasuke whispered. Sakura's eyes widened as she looked at Sasuke. She gasped as the Sharingan eyes reappeared once more. The Uchiha rose to his feet once more, and began to walk toward the grass ninja again. She smiled as he walked closer, slowly licking her lips in anticipation. It appears that Sasuke-kun is going to come at me with the strength of his ancestors. Well then, I'll take my time, so you can show me what you can really do, Grass Ninja thought. Sasuke reached into his weapon pouch on his belt. He quickly pulled out a large shuriken, and several kunai. His Sharingan eyes glared at the grass woman, before he charged off in her direction, ready to strike once more. The grass woman watched in amusement. Quickly, Sasuke jumped down the tree, and fired off his kunai in her direction. The woman smiled and ran in a motion resembling a slithering snake. She easily managed to dodge all the blades, and ran straight for Sasuke. The Uchiha's eyes narrowed and he grabbed the bark of the tree to slow himself as he fell. He managed to swing around the tree, making it to where he was facing the grass woman as she ran along the branch. Sasuke threw his shuriken at the woman, who easily managed to dodge the attack by jumping over the weapon. However, as Sasuke threw the shuriken, he swung back around the tree. Taking a final kunai that he had been holding onto in his mouth, Sasuke took a deep breath, carefully eyeing a wire that had been tied around the loop on the base of the handle. Sasuke focused some chakra into the kunai, and then flipped around the tree to face the woman once more, letting the blade fly in her direction. The woman smiled as she leaned in one direction to dodge it, but this only lasted a moment. It was at that moment as that Sasuke quickly leaned back against the tree, and pulled back as he did so. A string was in his mouth, and one in each hand. The woman traced each string. One in the kunai he had just fired, one in a kunai he had threw just a moment ago, and one from the shuriken she jumped over. The grass woman's eyes shot back at Sasuke, who smirked in satisfaction while making a quick hand sign. Way to go, Sasuke. Now finish him off. Sakura yelled. The grass woman smirked, but this went unnoticed by the Uchiha. He began to breathe gently, sending a flame down the wire, which he held in his mouth. Stray sparks of flame managed to land on the wires held in his hand, catching all three on fire, and the flames heading straight for the woman. She began to laugh as the flames went by her, and to the surprise of Sasuke and Sakura, engulfed the woman's head as well. They watched as the flames died, and the woman slowly turned around. Sakura gasped in shock. Her face, it looks like, it's melting, Sakura whispered. Not only that, there's something else, a face underneath, Sasuke thought, as he looked closer. Marvelous, simply marvelous, that one so young would have such a mastery over the power of the Sharingan. I was right to come after you after all, Grass Ninja said. Sasuke, Sakura whispered as she leapt over to the branch the Uchiha stood on. You truly do live up to the name of Uchiha, the grass woman said as she brought a hand to her headband. Grass Ninja rested her palm over top of the grass symbol, before slowly lowering it to reveal a music note instead. A music note? Where have I seen that before? Sakura thought. You really are his brother, aren't you? You have potential, such power, there as you can see and conceal with those eyes that Itachi never dreamed of, enemy ninja said. Sasuke froze in horror at the mention of that name. His eyes darkened. His hands clenched together, as he glared at the enemy ninja with a new level of hate. How do you know that name? Who the hell are you? Sasuke asked. My name, the enemy ninja asked. Both Genin's eyes widened as the voice switched from female to male. My name is Orochimaru, the Sannin of the snake, Orochimaru said. Orochimaru held the scroll out, the one he took from Kiba moments ago, and grinned as it caught fire in his palm. He slowly looked up from the burning heaven scroll, and into the eyes of Sasuke and Sakura. He smiled as Sasuke's eyes had returned to their normal state. If you should ever want a rematch, then I suggest you finish this exam as fast as you can, Sasuke. I'll see you again if you manage to survive this exam, and those of the sound shinobi who answer to me. Orochimaru said. What are you talking about? We don't want to ever see your face again. Sakura yelled. Maybe not, however, simply wishing will not make me disappear, Orochimaru said as he made a set of hand signs. At that moment, Orochimaru's neck shot forward. It slithered around, resembling a snake as it aimed straight for Sasuke. It traveled at a speed that neither Genin could track. Before he could move, Orochimaru had latched onto the back of Sasuke's neck, biting down with his fangs. He sat there for a moment, before slowly pulling away from the Uchiha's neck, and then the Sannin's own neck returned to its normal place. He smiled as the black marks appeared on the back of Sasuke's neck where the Sannin bit, and swirled around making an evil design. Sasuke began to shake slowly. He hunched over, holding his head in pain as he fell to his knees, screaming in pain. Sasuke! Sakura yelled. Sakura tried to help Sasuke stable himself. Worry was evident in her eyes as she stared at the boy screaming in pain. The laughter of Orochimaru filled the air, causing her eyes to shoot back over to him. I look forward to seeing you again, Sasuke, in your quest for power, Orochimaru said. Sakura frowned and rose to her feet, a kunai in hand as she shakily pointed it at the Sannin. You! What the hell did you do to Sasuke? She screamed as she tossed the kunai at Orochimaru. Just a little something to remember me by, Orochimaru said, easily dodging the kunai in the process. In the meantime, I got other brat to find. Orochimaru said as he began to sink into the tree. Sakura was about to chase after the Sannin, but Sasuke's screams snapped her attention back over to him. She watched as Sasuke began to have a fit of pain. His body shook, as he screamed once more, trying his hardest to overcome the pain. Sakura fell to her knees, trying to calm the boy. Sasuke! Sasuke, please answer me! Sakura yelled, pleaded. The plea fell to deaf ears. Sakura's eyes widened as one of Sasuke's hand rose into the air, as if reaching out for her. Sakura quickly gave him a hand, grunting in pain as Sasuke tightly held onto hers. Sakura watched with tears in her eyes as her idol, her crush cried in pain, trying anything to get it to stop. Sakura looked up and around. Sasuke, please hold on, Kiba, get over here. Sasuke is, Sakura said. Sakura trailed off as her eyes met Kiba's limp form, still hanging from the tree by a kunai through his jacket. Sakura's eyes followed the tree down, seeing Akamaru whimpering in pain at the base, as if every breath was a pain for him. Her eyes then went back to Sasuke, focusing on the black mark on his neck. Slowly, Sasuke's cries fell to a hush, as the boy began to fall unconscious. Sakura quickly reached out and pulled the Uchiha in before he hit the branch of the tree, as if he was the final lifeline for her to hold to. Kiba, Sasuke, and Akamaru, all of them were down and out for the count. Sakura realized that this time, she was alone, and the fate of the team was now in her hands.